Follow me do, my fellow UTS employees, and welcome back to Season 2 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush. It's going to be a long one. Today on Art on Pieces of Cardboard I Go Down On, we have... That's a weird-looking Yu-Gi-Oh! Card. Last time, thanks to friendship in children's card games, UDS Velgear was able to successfully beat his rival and old CO yugioh Velgear, and now began his journey to commit war crimes through a card game by playing the broken meta deck casuals would complain about on social media, instead of actually getting better and coming up with countermeasures and anti-meta strategies. That came from a dark place. So this is where I started being really down on Go Rush. As I kept watching Season 2, every single episode just made me more and more bored. Because it just feels like all of Season 2 is fucking nothing. It's not skippable, it does introduce a lot of characters and concepts that come back in Season 3, and the ending of it leads directly into the next season. But for a majority of it, it's unfunny episodes that like to sideline the plot for bad jokes. And this is where you realize the most that the structure Sevens had does not work for a series of over 150 episodes. Because as I mentioned before, arcs in this show like to introduce the big bad or problem of that arc in the first like 1 to 3 episodes. Then they have like 5 episodes of whatever. Then the last 5 or whatever episodes are the actual arc that we signed up for. Maybe bringing back all the insignificant things introduced in those nothing episodes to kind of make them seem relevant. And for a shorter and funnier series, that's fine, I guess. But considering the amount of episodes here and arcs are roughly 10 episodes, that's a lot of arcs, and a lot of new characters, and a lot of plot points introduced over a long period of time. Like I said, take notes. Because Season 2 is the worst of it. From the start into Season 3, it really seems like they were twiddling their thumbs because they accidentally ended the whole plot of Go Rush 1 season early. Definitely seems like they figured it out by Season 3, but spoilers, I'm not a fan of Season 3. But that's the future. Let's live in the now, which is also the future, technically, because it's a time skip as we take a look at Season 2 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush. The season opens with Udius officially ending the war in his cluster. So with that done, he leaves yugioh there to handle all the non-dueling stuff that needs to get done, and he heads back to Earth with the Valve-Gear. And he arrives at UTS, where they all greet him, but he soon realizes something's up. It's not UTS, it's the MIK, in disguise, and they're trying to take him into custody, and they don't even sing a catchy theme song. I'm gonna run that joke into the ground. That's when a studio guy arrives, Tremolo Ryugu, who seems to be a higher up in the MIK. Udius challenges him to a duel to find out what's happening, but before it can start, smoke bombs are thrown, and Udius hears the special UTS code from a familiar voice, and he skedaddles. He goes to where the code told him to, and he meets Yuamu, and she's a lot taller now, because turns out ending a war takes a while, apparently, and Udius has been gone for 2 years. And Yuamu fills him in on what he missed, that when they all got back, they expected to go on with their lives and wait for him. But upon arrival, the MIK attacked all of a sudden, and took into custody not just aliens who were living peacefully on the surface, but even those associated with them, including UTS, Mutsuba, Goha, and basically every character we've met. And they forced them all into the underground, so now UTS and the other humans associated with them have been living here for the past 2 years. The man behind this is Phaser Ryugu, the leader of the MIK, who suddenly enacted this plan out of nowhere. And while some like Yuamu have been fighting against the MIK for the past several years, some like Yuhi have not, as he's gotten the worst of it. He's going through puberty. His voice is deeper, he's just realized how awesome boobs are, and he wants nothing to do with UTS, the MIK, but even worse, he stopped rush dueling. The child thinks he's too old for children's card games. That's how you know we're cooked. So it all seems doom and gloom, and it's about to get worse, because Udius thinks Yuga, who they all refer to as that guy because they don't know his name yet, I'm just going to keep calling him Yuga because that's who he is, can help them. But Damamu arrives, who Yuamu has been sending to the surface for recon, and they found a videotape, and they all watch it, and they see it's Yuga dueling Phaser 2 years ago, and they can't tell what exactly happens, but it seems Yuga lost and hasn't been seen since. And that's the Season 2 opener. Honestly, it's pretty good. It establishes a new threat that he's pretty powerful to do all this for the past 2 years, and that the characters have gone through a significant change, something we, the audience, and Udius just have to deal with now. I will say, the actual time skip does not really matter much. It didn't even need to happen. The reason for a time skip, generally in shonen anime, is to give the characters a massive power-up in a short amount of time, while also giving the ability to introduce new characters. But Go Rush, it's a card game. People haven't really gotten stronger. I mean, they have new cards, but that happens all the time. They can just buy a pack. And besides Yuhi, everyone else is the same character. They have not changed at all. Hell, only Yuamu and Yuhi actually get different designs. Everyone else looks exactly the same, despite it being 2 years. Not even a new haircut or like a different shirt or something. Like, what was even the point? Well, there's kind of a reason they did it, but you'll see later. Start the next episode. This is the Japanese version, so unlike the dub, which keeps the same theme, they of course switch it up. Season 2 has a better theme, Soul Galaxy by Bradio. You probably know them for the Death Parade opening, and it's great. It's very lively and fun. I think it fits more of the lighter comedic tone of Go Rush, more than the first one, which is still pretty forgettable to me. So at least the openings have improved. Anyways, with the help of alien tech, Udius, Yuamu, Asaka, and Yuna watch the duel between Yuga and Phaser in a 3D kind of solid vision VR world. Yuhi doesn't watch, but lets on that he knows what happens already, and we see that he was in fact there 2 years ago, hiding, and already saw the duel, and it's what turned him into a wet blanket. During the duel, we don't learn why Phaser dueled Yuga specifically, but we do see he is super racist towards aliens, basically wanting to purge them. And then we see what he was able to use to beat Yuga. Maximum Shokan! Something everyone watching and even Yuga is surprised to see. Because remember, he makes the cards, and he didn't make Maximum Monsters yet. That expansion doesn't exist. And right when he's about to lose, he's going to activate a trap card, but the others don't see that he sees Yuhi and stops himself and says something to him. The video doesn't pick up what he says, and he loses. That's when the Relic shows up and turns Yuga into a card. He got carded. How is this a thing that gets brought back in Yu-Gi-Oh! All the time and not Heart of the Cards? Yeah, I know it's a dub thing, it still should be there. So yeah, Phaser has the one monster in Rush duels that's impossible to beat without one of your own, and Yuga is a piece of cardboard. What's more, Yuna specifically seems very upset about this. So she goes straight to her old Goha office, and the others follow, and we see it's under MIK control now, specifically by Manabu and Yandestar, who are acting obviously weird and like they are evil, to tip off the others that they're acting, and the only one who can tell is Yuamu. They're acting like this because they're always being watched and have stayed with the MIK to figure out how Phaser got maximum cards and is turning people into cards, so they can help everyone. But Yuna doesn't care, she only wants to know where Phaser is and what happened to Yuga, so she duels Manabu to find out. We then see Yuna's real deck as she borrowed Yuga's. She has a bunch of witches that reference modern day stuff like fashion and influencers. Ugh, hate those guys and their anime retrospectives. And if you can't tell by now, Yuna's acting like this because she has a crush on Yuga. Because he literally crashed into her life and was all smart and cheerful and mysterious, saying it's from the future, and I guess women from the past are into that. Which honestly is the worst thing to happen to Yuna. She was kind of a fun character, maybe a little annoying, but the fact she was the snooty rich girl who simped over Robian's weird poems was what made her at least a character. For the rest of this show, especially Season 3, most of her actions are because of her crush on Yuga, and she has no character anymore, just wants to ride Yuga's dick. What's more, she also kinda sucks, because while it seems she's gonna win, looks like Phaser has equipped all of MIK with maximum cards, because Manabu has one, and uses it to beat Yuna, and it turns out it's not a Phaser thing. When you lose to a maximum monster, the relic just shows up and you get carded. Which, by the way, the characters say that too, at least the subtitles say it. Man, this, jobbers, I'm just streets ahead of all the lingo in Yu-Gi-Oh! And despite their friend being essentially killed in front of them, the next episode doesn't focus on that. Everyone just goes on like usual, heading to school, as Udius for some reason enrolls in the middle school they all go to in the underground. And Asaka's running for student council president, but everyone finds her, well, she's Asaka, and hearing a student council pres is a great leader, Udius, without consent, puts Yuamu in the running, which she doesn't want because she's busy with UTS, school, and fighting the MIK. And when elections happen, it's a tie. Yuamu is happy to give it to Asaka, but she challenges her to a duel for it. Where through the duel we do see they acknowledge Yuna getting carded, as it's actually eating up at Asaka, because they relate to each other, being female elementary school age CEOs of giant corporations. It's a very common thing. But they share another thing as well, as we see Asaka also has a crush on Yuga, but seeing Yuna also liked him, she held off because she's not a homewrecker. Man, can you imagine Yuga telling Asana that when he gets back? Yeah, I time traveled and I almost banged your ancestor and became your great-great-grandfather, Asana. Weird, huh? I'm kidding, of course. Yuga's a protag. He doesn't notice when women like him. Also, between Rain, Yuna, and Asana, is Yuga now the second protagonist after Yuma to officially have a harem in Yu-Gi-Oh? Why is it always the middle school-aged ones? Anyway, Asaka becomes the president, but the two are still friends. We also see during the duel that Yuamu and Yuhi see a glimpse of a road. Yeah, remember, that's Yuga's thing, and spoilers, but not really. They're Yuga's ancestors, because Odos, I don't know how you didn't figure that out already. And seeing a road isn't just some saying or feeling. Remember, this is Yu-Gi-Oh! Where metaphorical concepts become reality, and it's basically a superpower that the Odos have. It just lets them see the right path forward. It's hereditary. We then see that Asaka ran for president because the underground student council room is deeper underground and can act as their base to plan against the MIK without them knowing. Cut to Yuhi, who's now feeling apprehensive about his actions in the past, because he already felt useless and depressed when Udius left, because he couldn't do anything to help, and the tipping point was seeing Yuga lose and carded, and he couldn't do anything once again. So that's why he's been all emo, because he felt useless and decided not to do anything about it. Join the club, bro, you're not special. But after seeing that road, he's starting to have a change of heart. That's when suddenly he runs into Ron, who's running from the MIK, specifically Tremolo, who's Phaser's younger brother. Ron has defected from the MIK and apparently took something from them. Yuhi decides to duel Tremolo, not to save her, but to figure out what his role in all this is. Eventually, he gets blinded and Ron helps him duel in the Sogetsu style, and we see he's not worried about maximum monsters, because even though he hasn't dueled in years, he's still been upgrading his deck and even has new ace cards like Power Bond, and unlike Cyrus, he knows how to use it. However, maximum cards are OP and he still loses. But before the duel ends, Ron shows him what she took from the MIK, and similar to Yuga, after seeing this card, Yuhi's fine losing, saying he finally understands and gets turned into a card. Ron grabbing it before the relic sucks it up, escapes. Meanwhile to that, the other jobbers have begun their attack on MIK. Asaka and the others go to Mutsuba Heavy Machinery to take it back, and run into this prison guard character. She doesn't matter much, don't pay attention to her being Megchan, she doesn't matter, but she has a maximum Megchan card, and uses it to beat all the other jobbers and they get carded. But noticeably, Iwamu and Udius aren't there, as that team was a distraction to get Manabu away from Goha so they can investigate Yuga's room to find some clue on how to beat maximum monsters. Eventually they find a secret room where they find a shut down Kaizo, and inside of him are Yuga's maximum cards. Now they have their own. But as they leave, Ron and Damamu find them and tell them about what happened to everyone. Sometime later, Manabu finally betrays the MIK and says he stole Phaser's secret and brings it to UTS, but they don't think he was acting and as a trick, especially when the secret was just an empty scroll with nothing in it or special about it. But now that they have maximum cards, Udius wants to go end this and duel Phaser right now. But then Yugioh shows up, having finished his business at Velgear, saying it's too soon, not to rush in because just having a maximum card doesn't mean you're gonna win. Then Manabu starts crashing out, seeing his betrayal of his friends amounted to nothing, so he challenges Yugioh to a duel. If he wins, they have to believe him. If he loses, he becomes Yugioh's underling. And Yugioh shows Udius through the duel that he was right, because he's able to beat Manabu's maximum monster without one. And you can't just have the best card and expect to win, you gotta know how to use it. So Manabu becomes Yugioh's underling, and we see that Phaser might actually have a secret, as he apparently is prone to blackouts, having no memories. Also, he ends up naked. It seems Tremolo knows what that secret is and has vowed to protect it, even from Phaser himself. But lurking around is the informant Skyfish guy, trying to find the secret for Iwamu, and Tremolo finds them and captures most of them. One escapes back to the underground, and to protect his brother's secret, he chases it, and Udius sees him, so he challenges him to a duel, which he agrees to, thinking the Skyfish was going to him or Iwamu. During the duel, Udius tries to use the maximum cards, but they start glitching out. That's when Kaizo comes back online for a little bit and real-time programs them, making the maximum cards Udius's. But like Yugioh said, even though he has them, he doesn't really start winning. That's when Udius realizes he needs to think outside the box and does what no one expects. Tributes over his maximum monster, finding a line where he can resummon one piece of it, which is something you can do apparently, news to me, and using its effects he wins the duel, which is a cool strategy I'm surprised they didn't do until now. Again, I want duels like this, cool interesting strategies like that, instead of just playing big monster over bigger monster. So now the Ototo is beaten and gets arrested, because apparently it's forbidden for the MIK to be in the underground. But he did catch the Skyfish during the duel, so Phaser's secret is safe for now. Now that the brother is down, it's time to take down Phaser himself. Before that, Ron shows Iwamu in secret that she has Yuhi's card, and another one, Yuga's card, and that she needs to give it to the person who can use them. When she sees Yuga's card, she says it's probably not her, and that she now knows what she has to do. She goes to the spot Yugioh was carded, and waiting there is Phaser, and the two begin a duel. Eventually, the other UTS members arrive to watch the duel, and we see Iwamu also has strategies to beat Phaser's maximum monster. But to their shock, he doesn't just have one maximum monster, he's got two. Count them, two maximum monsters. That's when Iwamu figures him out, why he's turning people into cards. It's cause he's using those people and turning them into the maximum monsters. But Iwamu still loses, which says that she now sees her road, which Phaser seems annoyed by, and she gets carded too. But Ramon and UTS manage to save her card, as well as Yuhi and Yuga's. And Udius and the others see why Yuhi and Iwamu reacted to Yuga's card. Cause his last name is Odo. I already told you that though. But I will say, I do like that the show does treat this and Yuga's identity like a proper twist, so you don't have to have seen Sevens to get it. Yeah, I think they did a pretty decent job with Go Rush, making it so that it's its own standalone series, despite being both a prequel and a sequel, technically. You don't have to have seen Sevens to really understand this, because they're actually treating Yuga's identity and all the other stuff as if, it's brand new to them. Well, until season 3. Honestly, from now on, if I say something good about Go Rush, just assume it's going to be ruined in season 3 in some way. Anyway, we then cut to Yuamu, who awakes in some weird dimension as a cat. This is apparently what happens to everyone who gets turned into a card. They become a cat. She finds Yuhi, who's been going around trying to find Yuga, and the twins do find him, napping. Pissed he's been doing nothing, Yuhi duels Yuga, but they find that all their decks are just cats. Yuamu, though, realizes something that Yuga might have also as well. That Nyande star was also turned into a cat randomly, remember? And the person who invented the Carter, and maybe the relic, might be connected to that in some way. Yuhi ends up winning, but during the duel, Yuga used a field spell, and the place they're in counts as a field spell, I guess. So, using one over the other causes space to be warped and bends time, wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey, and the Yus are all transported to Yuga's time. Yes, for reals. Specifically, a little before the epilogue, 2 years have passed, but Yuga hasn't come back yet. Anyway, they all run into that weird furry who worked for Nail, remember him? After convincing him Yuga is back as a cat, he takes them to a database to fill them in on what's happened in the last, 50 to 80 years. They are very vague about when Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush takes place in relation to Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s, which is good, because if you think about it for 2 seconds, it matters less and less and makes even less sense. In my fan theory, it's at least 3 generations ago. But they learn some surprising things about the future. Because remember, Yuga has been going around in the past making rush duels and fucking the space-time continuum like it's going out of style. But surprisingly, nothing has changed. Everything is exactly the same, which Yuga's weirdly not happy about. And Yuhi and Yuamu are also shocked that despite being so common in the past, aliens aren't around in modern day, and neither is UTS. Also that the fact Goha, Yuna's shitty startup, now owns Mutsuba Town. They do end up spending a full day there as Yuga is found by Luke, who the twins do notice looks like the Lug. Oh, don't worry. I have my own fan theories about how Luke and Taiga are descended from an alien. You won't like it. And you see the next day is the day Yuga comes back, even though he was technically already back in cat form, and the episode just kind of ends. We cut back to the present, or past, back to Udius, where UTS is shocked to see Yuga is the twins' descendant. Ramon snaps him out of it by saying there might be a way to turn all the cards back if they can beat Phaser. Sure. So Udius begins his duel against Phaser. But we see he likes playing dirty, because every time Phaser takes damage, he frees the aliens, as Udius wanted, by shooting them into space. He's freeing them back to their home, technically. And when Udius takes damage, he's taking the aliens and showing them to the humans, revealing their existence. So UTS heads out to try to call them the Mutsuba residents. But what I expected happens. They all know aliens exist already, because of course they do. Like, they've really done a shitty job at hiding it. Phaser is not pleased at this, but thanks to yugioh, his secret is about to be revealed. He sent Dinoam, Yuda, and Manabu on a job to bring a package back. That package is delivered by Shubaha, which contains the leader of the Dudus, and his domain expansion speeds up time, which reveals Phaser's secret. He's an alien, and even he didn't know. More specifically, he's a member of the long-extinct race of space dragons. Due to stuff that never comes back up, I'm not going to explain it. Phaser has hated aliens and wanted to protect Tremolo, but later it was revealed when he transformed the first time that the Ryugus have space dragon blood in them. Being older, I guess, Phaser would transform suddenly but have no memory of it, so to protect his brother's prejudice, Tremolo kept it a secret from him, and that scroll Manabu found was one made from his dragon scales. But who cares about that, as Udius continues the duel, reaching out to Phaser's warrior spirit. And Phaser does duel now, looking like a character commissioned by a Tumblr artist, and Udius discovers Damamu snuck the Odo cards into his deck right before the duel, and he knows what to do, and uses the Odo cards to real-time program them into his own original Maximum monster, and using it, Udius beats Phaser. After beating him, everyone just turns back to normal. Well, that was easy. And we see that apparently a ton of aliens show up to Mutsuba Town because there's a huge fossil of a space dragon in a mountain that attracts them. You know, for an absurdist comedy that really doesn't need to, they really enjoy explaining every little detail of this world and how it functions. Even the shit no one asked or cared about. Yet the serious Yu-Gi-Ohs couldn't explain what Pot of Greed does. Anyways, yeah, it's all done. Arc over. Straight into the next one, as everyone pretty easily forgives Phaser for arresting and relocating all of them underground for 2 years. Water under the bridge, I guess. And now the MIK are nice with aliens, so they decide to promote human and alien relations with a citywide rush duel tournament That's right, gang. This is our last tournament arc of all of Yu-Gi-Oh! And it kind of sucks and barely is one. Because this tournament arc is not about the tournament at all. It's just a backdrop. It's really about something else. Because now that they're friends, the MIK team up with Yuamu, Kappa, and other nerds to figure out this relic. Who made it and why is it cards? Yuamu does now know, thanks to Yuga, who disappeared again by the way, that Otis used it in his time. But the main reason for this arc is to introduce a brand new character that Yugioh gets involved with. It's kind of really the entire point of it. Because while Yuamu is busy, he's handling UTS, and Shibaha arrives, saying he now works for MIK as a delivery man, and is paid in the scrolls Phaser makes. Remember, he was on the planet with the dragon bones and his race eats them. But he needs Yugioh's help to deliver a package to a place he doesn't know before he starves to death. So Yugioh helps him find that place. Yugioh Gear Company. As we know it, it should be Callister Gears. And Yugioh runs into the most annoying character in the show. I know she gets better, but she's still fucking annoying.
Oh, 留守ではなかったのか。上条ギアカンパニー、ここに反抗。やらぬ。え？やらぬ、断る。おいは断固としてお前たちの望みを打ち砕くエポ。プップクペー。
This is Epoch, the heiress to Yugioh Gears, and she very often likes to end her sentences in Eppo and Poo 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 Poo. And spoilers, she's going to become part of the main cast. Yeah, guys, this is great. This is so much better than dubs. Thank God I have to listen to super annoying sentence-ending particles the rest of my life. He's also a brat and won't sign for the delivery, and Shibaha is dying. So Yugioh challenges her to a rush duel, and they duel, obviously. Wait, she says no? She doesn't duel him? You can just do that? I'm crashing out, dude. My reality's been shattered. What the fuck is happening? Well, instead, Yugioh has to play with her by competing in hundreds of other stupid games with stupid rules. But eventually, his weird golden retriever personality gets her to warm up to him, and the delivery is signed. Yugioh then meets the butler who takes care of her, and tells him that an incident has caused her to close herself off from others, which is why she's in that box. She's a hikikomori. But seeing Yugioh get through to her, he wants him to teach her about rush duels to help her open up, and Yugioh agrees, taking it on as a UTS job. Later that night, Epoch gets curious about what the package was and opens it, and sees that inside is the Lug? Whoa, why is he here? Doesn't matter, because next episode, the tournament begins. It happens all over town, and they use the bottle caps from the underground to track progress. Cool. Back to the relic, it turns out the Ryugus don't even know much about it. It just kinda showed up one day and Phaser used it. But it is the same relic that Yugioh and Yugioh saw on Go Rush U, and the same one Otis uses in the future. It's pretty well connected. So Yuamu deduces that if after that battle Yugioh was sent here, maybe Otis was sent further back in time and has something to do with the Valgyrians and this relic. Back to the tournament, Yugioh and Yuki are taking Epoch around to show her rush duels, and he ends up finding Yuamu and duels her, but even Epoch notices that something is off about her. Wait, could it be? Yes. I've seen this somewhere before. The blank stare, not acting like yourself, a special evil card that magically manifested in her deck? Oh yeah, baby. That's a woman in Yu-Gi-Oh! If I've ever seen one. Let me tell you, I've seen way too many of it at this point. Also, this duel made me realize Yu-Gi-Oh! Is kinda awesome. I actually really like him. That when woman Yuamu was taunting Epoch for being a hikikomori and how she was able to use her floodgates on Yugioh, but he's not phased at all, saying he doesn't want to change Epoch, he just wants to understand her and get to know her, and easily gets through all of her floodgates and wins. I think the reason is because past Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro tags, when met with stuff like this, they get all sad until someone on the sidelines tells them to nut up. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Always trusts in rush duels, finding an answer through them and understanding people instead of just writing them off or trying to change them. Honestly, he's close to being my favorite protagonist. Close. Well, after Yu-Gi-Oh! Wins, Yuamu's back to normal, with no memory of what happened, and the evil card has vanished, of course. Well, we could solve that mystery. Instead, here's Manabu going around like a dumbass and duels another Sogetsu. Sogetsu Maguto. He's a fish man with a fish head. That's the whole episode. Next one, we actually get some insight to why the Lug is here. Also, he's a chair. That's because we get introduced to definitively the stupidest villain in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! An evil furniture store. I didn't stutter, you didn't hear that wrong. An evil, cheap furniture store. Apparently, there is a cheap, ruthless furniture store that employs dirty tactics to get their way, and what they want are yugioh gears for their furniture, I guess. I don't know much about furniture, but I don't think my coffee table has gears. Yugioh refused, so I guess they turned the Lug into a piece of furniture as a threat. They don't even know who he is. Because, yeah, there's not really a big main villain of this arc. There is an evil furniture store as a legit antagonist in this anime. Anyway, it's finally time for Epoch to duel, so she duels Yuhi. Her deck's kinda cool because it's cards based on dice like Joey Ruler Classics, Skull Dice, and Graceful Dice, which she's definitely not cheating at. Those natural 20s are because of her training. Epoch does not win because we see Yuhi now has maximum monsters. Yep, MIK, Mutsuba, and Goha have all teamed up in the loosest sense of the word, and are now mass producing them, I guess. The next episode, okay, so I didn't explain it, but back during the Yu-Gi-Oh! Production of Cats, the twins ran into these 3 very specifically designed cats, and after the arc, we now see them as these 3 girls. Despite them being introduced there, mysteriously knowing who Yuhi was, which surprised them, and having such unique designs, they don't matter. They are Tremello's secretaries who simp over him. They were also the people used to make his maximum monsters. They are involved in like 3 episodes. Oh, this episode doesn't have anything to do with them at all. It's about Tremello and Dinoa dueling for stupid reasons. But at the end, something crashes in front of them. A case. And someone's inside. Ramu shows up for reasons and is horrified at what she finds. Later, Udius and Yuhi are at Kamijo's and the tournament prelims are almost over. No, I didn't skip any episodes. Like I said, the tournament in this tournament arc does not matter. And can I really say they fucked up a tournament arc if they don't even show it? Anyway, Udius has been so busy with Epoch, he has no points, and at this rate won't be in the finals. So Epoch gives him the day off. And Yuhi says he'll help, because he wants to face Udius in the finals, like bros. So the two go around to find someone to duel Udius, and you know, no one really wants to risk their tournament life dueling the guy who literally ended a space war with this card game. They eventually end up at the MIK and see Yuamu and the groupies near a really cheap desk and kotatsu. And yep, it's Dinoa and Tremello turned into furniture. They say it was by a man named Zion from the ruthless cheap space furniture store. And Udius, hearing that they're here, knows why. Cause back at Kamijo, Zion shows up and threatens Epoch to accept their business transaction, or else be turned into a lamp. The Lug seems to know Zion, and when UTS show up, it's revealed Zion is actually the Lug's ex-chief of staff, the Providence. A fake name he went by. He's actually head of the ruthless cheap space furniture store. So of course, Udius duels him to defend Epoch. Well, long before the Lug, Zion was head of Setsuri, which, if you don't know, that's Japanese for Providence, a furniture store that was booming. He wanted to expand locations all across the galaxy, but what stopped him? A recession. Which, okay, that's also kind of funny. A little too real right now, but funny. But that wasn't all, because around that time was when the Lug showed up and froze all of his employees. So with nothing else to do, he joined up with the Lug to figure out how to unfreeze his store. And turns out after UDS beat the Lug and they discovered curry bread, he unfroze everyone, but nothing really changed. Until suddenly, he swallowed a gear, and that gave him the power to turn people into furniture. Yeah, that's it, that's the whole explanation, it's over. Yuamu does point out that that power is similar to how a relic turns people into cards. I hope not, but I've already seen the show, so I know it is. It seems like Udius is gonna lose the duel, but somehow, he gets one of those Darkness Evil cards in his deck, and uses it, but he's not a woman, so he's able to resist its powers. And he uses it to beat Zion, and at the end of the duel, the gear he swallowed is barfed out. So he's unable to turn anyone back. But good news, Zion was technically part of the tournament, so Udius beating him qualified him for the finals of the tournament. Convenient. Oh, and Epoch is afraid of Udius because he was cool and embraced darkness. Anyway, it's the top 8, and others, consisting of Udius, Yuhi, Yuamu, Rovian, Kappa, Yondastar, Zuijou, and Mitsuko. The first match is Zuijou versus Mitsuko, who wants revenge on the cheating bastard. But during it, she gets womaned by a darkness card, and loses, cause woman. Next scene. Turns out those others mentioned in the top 8 are the organizers, as Kappa runs into Asaka and Yuna runs into Rovian. Also, Nyandistar and Yuamu run into each other. That's right, a 3-way duel is about to begin. But there's still a problem, though these darkness cards are popping up out of nowhere. So Yuamu actually has a smart plan. She's pretty smart. You know that Yuamu, she's a really smart character. She vacuum seals her deck and is only going to break it out during the tournament. The reason being, if that darkness card somehow still ends up in her deck, then they might be dealing with powers beyond their understanding. And lo and behold, Yuamu gets womaned again. It hasn't even been 10 episodes since the last one. What's more, Asaka and Yuna also get womaned. Okay, you know, I made the joke Udius resisted it because, you know, I assume he has a penis, he is an alien, I don't know, might not be in the same spot. But so far, the only people who have been affected by this evil card have been Yuamu, Mitsuko, Yuna, and Asaka. Why is the guy who wrote the Fusion Dimension arc of Arc 5 still on the team? Anyway, none of these duels matter. The only one that has anything interesting is Yuna versus Rovian, because it's Yuna's way of saying she's leaving the Rovian bandits to go off on her own, but it gets ruined by darkness. Luckily for these chicks, Yuhi and Zuijo leave the area as Yuamu told Yuhi to do one thing, and Zuijo already knows what's going on, I guess, because he's Zuijo. And that it must be because of the relic. Ever since it showed up is when these cards started appearing, so they both go and break it, ending the misogyny. For now. So the outcome of all those duels doesn't matter. What does is who steps out of the relic. That's right, someone was inside of it the whole time. Quaidol has one plan, to turn everyone but him in the universe into his game pieces. Doesn't really expand further on that, saying his Cartio's project is almost done and heads off in another relic. Yeah, there's more. Most surprisingly, he claims to be the first Velgirian, a prototype as he says. And this time it's Yuhi who makes a smart deduction, that why was a Velgirian spaceship here on Earth? And what happened to this creator of the Velgirians? Did he come here and is he still here? He might be, and he instructs Ron to get the other jobbers to help find a Velgirian ship, cause inside might be Otis, who may be alive in this time. If you're wondering how he knows who Otis is, Yuga told him like a while ago. Back at the tournament, since they're the only ones still kind of there, the finals are going to be Phaser versus Udius. Phaser tries to get him to not use that darkness card, but Udius is too stuck on his road and uses it with no regrets. That's when all the jobbers show up and Yuhi tries to convince Udius he's being used by Quaidol Velgear, but Udius insists he's not being controlled. So Quaidol shows up and speaks through Udius, controlling him, but insists he's not in control of him though, and reveals his plan. He's tried to advance his Cartios project the wrong way and now wants everyone to use these darkness cards, and what better way than having Udius win a tournament with one. Everyone loves Udius, he's the guy who ended a frickin' Star War with collectible cardboard. So if he uses one of these darkness cards and wins this tournament in front of everyone, then everyone's gonna want one. So Udius is about to win, but Phaser uses a special card, one that has the ability to swap duelists. What is this, an MTG unset? And the duelist he chooses to swap with is Zuijo. Turns out such a crazy card was made as the prize for this tournament, but they used it now knowing they'd face some new enemy, as the presidents have been planning this themselves for some time. Even with Zuijo, as Phaser had put some of his cards in his deck. Conveniently, he happened to draw them exactly at this time. Did you shuffle? And again, I'll admit something good, that the end goal of this arc now is to beat Udius, the main character. That's at least something different, because if he wins with that darkness card, then they're all kind of fucked. But Quaidol appears again and reveals he pretty much has been manipulating everyone since the beginning. Yep, we're doing it again. Cause that time Zuijo revived and saw their creator, it was actually him, as he wanted to come to Earth, because the real creator, who he knew, always glazed it up before he left. So he wanted to see what all the buzz was about. So he stowed away on Zuijo's ship, and when they landed on Partner, when the Lug showed up, he saw Neondestar and was the one who turned her into a cat, as he was trying to turn her into a card, but as we saw, he always turns them into cats for some reason. I'm sure it's a pun in Japanese. But when he came to Earth, he wanted to see what rush duels were all about. So he went back to Velgear and even manipulated Udius into finding the relic, which prompted him to come here, beating Yuga and the twins, and then you know the rest. And Quaidol is glad he did, cause Zuijo was boring. He just wanted to use children's playing cards for violence. But Udius was amazing. He used rush duels to evolve, grow, make friends, even with his greatest enemies, and ending an entire war. Thanks to that, Quaidol was able to see the true power of rush duels and then began enacting his plan. After that, he tags out, and Udius does the same through gameplay, as he's able to reuse the Fun Trap card, which says the owner must swap, which is technically Zuijo in this case, which wasn't expected, so Zuijo has to choose who to swap out with. That's when Yuhi steps up, saying he will duel Udius. But turns out Phaser was streets ahead somehow, and even planned for this, putting in some of Yuhi's cards as well. When did you even get those? Also, even Udius is blocks ahead, as he actually was aware this whole time about Quaidol not controlling him, and was waiting for this opportunity to attack. And thanks to that, and Yuhi using actual polymerization like a GX character, they win! He beats Udius, which technically beats Quaidol. And Kawaii reveals something. Otis was the creator, but he's not really here, and wasn't really the creator, because Kawaii absorbed him long ago when he was trying to leave for Earth, because he didn't want to let go of his daddy. But that's when he realized it wasn't really Otis. Because you may remember, while we've only seen one, Damamu, every human has an Earth Dahmer. And the person Kawaii absorbed was Otis's. Yep, it wasn't really him. Apparently during the duel with Yuga, he was sent back in time somewhere else, but his Earth Dahmer was separated from him, which came to even further back years ago, made the Valgyrians. Obviously the reason Otis's Earth Dahmer did it is because, it's a spirit of curiosity or whatever. But with that, Kawaii vanishes, and technically, despite being disqualified, Yuhi is the champion of the tournament. Hooray! The day is saved and everything is fine now. The next day, everything is exactly the same, no differences here with audio or visuals. Okay, this episode is just to spot the difference, as, yeah, for some reason everyone has changed just a little bit for no reason. But Yuhi figures it out, that somehow everyone who was watching the finals has been teleported to some alternate reality by Kawaii. Yep, he's still around somewhere, as Yuhi remembers that this whole time, the card he fused to win was actually a darkness card made by Kawaii, which somehow caused reality to change. Well, cool, but more importantly, unlike the first season, which had one ending theme, the best one, this season and the next one will have two. I didn't mention the first one, it's kinda whatever. This one is fine. Honestly, I forgot about it as well until now. I thought it was the next one in season 3. Yeah, the ending themes in the show ain't really that great. Anyway, I'm gonna kind of breeze through these next few episodes because nothing really happens. It's just UTS going around dueling people to get them to realize they're in Kawaii's alternate reality. Like Yuamu dueling Manabu, who's the cat now, and Yandastar, who's the human. Personally, I like that change, but Yuamu wins and they're back now. Then Yuhi duels Zion, whose dream has come true. Setsuri is like the IKEA of the Yu-Gi-Oh universe, until it's not. Then Udius duels Asaka, but turns out Zion, her, and Kappa are already aware of this being an alternate reality. Some people are just more woke than others. Then we check on Zuijo, who's also aware of this domain expansion, but unfortunately he's trapped in Dinawa's delusions, where they work together in the bakery, and she wants it to be only her and Zuijo-sama. Nothing a duel can't fix. But after he wins, Zuijo sees something strange. The number 40 in the sky? Huh? That's how many of my brain cells leave every second I watch this. Next is Yuna, whose delusion is pretty important, I guess, where we see she thinks she's married to Yuga, and her domain expansion turns the others into babies that she thinks are her real kids. Yuhi duels her and wakes her up, but she might not have wanted to wake up from that dream. That's important for later, remember, this will be on the test. However, despite dueling almost all of the characters we've met so far, only the named ones are coming back. Turns out the jobbers aren't waking up. And this episode introduces Kago Tamako, another big woman like Mitsuko. I mean, I won't say no to a big woman. Ramu and Epoch tag duel them to wake them up from this delusion too. Does that count? I mean, we barely get it nowadays, sure. Meanwhile, Zuijo meets with Phaser, who has also been unaffected by the Dark Card, and is woke as fuck. And the two Ikemen try to decipher what this 40 he saw means. And they realize too late something you duelists should have figured out, cause what in Yu-Gi-Oh, even in Rush Duels, has a minimum of 40. And when Yuamu and Epoch win, that's 40 people who have been awakened, and all of them get teleported to a classroom. I don't know why it's a classroom. Because it's supposed to represent Kawaii's deck, as yep, he chose conveniently characters we've met before to form his deck. He has succeeded turning people into pieces in his game. But everyone does realize something, that they haven't actually left the real world. The Darkness card hasn't shifted reality, it's actually done its own little thing into everyone's brains, because everyone who was watching the finals is now in a state of slowed time, and this is happening in their minds, collectively. Which is that dumber than Kawaii just making another alternate reality? That's a legitimate question. I have no idea what this show is even trying to do at this point. Like, is it trying to be funny? Trying to tell a serious story now with weird science fiction, mumbo-jumbo, technobabble shit? Like, what's going on here? They also realize something else. Someone's late to class. It's Udius. He was not chosen as a card, but as a test subject, as Kawaii shows up to test his new deck against him. And yep, he uses everyone, turning them into their ace monsters as his cards. Everyone points out that that's a pretty amateurish way of making a deck, one with all high-level monsters. But he's planned for that, as Kawaii gets his own special ace monster and a special spell, that is Asaka, and uses them both to beat Yugioh, declaring he will make the universe his card collection. This is the first step. And everyone returns to the fake reality as Yugioh finds them again, but now are shook because they've technically lost already, as now Kawaii has them in his grasp and can use them as his cards at any moment. The next episode doesn't matter, it's about the Ryugu brothers fighting because the bitches are simping for Phaser in this reality. But it's also to show that everyone is kind of freaking out now, and it might not be just them. It's Kawaii who's brewing, modifying his deck, which is messing with everyone's minds and emotions. Once again, except for Yugioh, and soon it's figured out why. Because Yugioh isn't as woke as everyone else. Despite him constantly saying that he gets it, he actually has not fully grasped the concept that he is in an alternate version of reality created by Kawaii in their minds. I mean, to be honest with you, Yugioh, I'm kind of struggling to follow this too. At least for Yugioh, this might have been on purpose. Because remember, Kawaii said he can't control Yugioh, which also must mean he can't make him a card. So he has to keep him trapped in this reality to keep him from causing trouble. So the characters try to come up with various ways to get Yugioh to understand the concept of multiverses, or I guess this is Inception? I think? I don't know. Well, it looks like it's too late, as it seems Kawaii has finished his new deck tech, and is summoning everyone to shuffle up and play. So as a last-ditch effort, Yuabu hypnotizes Yugioh, and that mixed with a weirdly melodramatic scene of Yuna convincing Rovian to help with one of her poem songs. Seriously, it's weirdly serious out of nowhere, and the fact that it happens and is never brought up again is even weirder. Well, whatever it was mixed with hypnotism, Yugioh finally understands thanks to the number 9? Is that a reference to this being the 9th series if you count the Toei anime? And he finally sees reality like everyone else. Whoa, it looks like a cool filter. But now that he's woke, Yugioh is able to make it to the classroom and is able to join with everyone thanks to friendship. So now he's dueling with them as his cards, which is fine with Kawaii as he has a new archetype, Prime cards. I'm not explaining them, I don't care about rush duels. Nor am I explaining the big revelation that Kawaii admits that he's manipulated everything. What specifically? Everything. I've ranted about this so much, pick your favorite one, I'm over it. It's almost as bad as when Otis did it to Yuga. Oh yeah, Yuga. Forgot about that guy. So yeah, way back when, Raron and Manabu ran into him a little before this whole thing happened. But why isn't he here? Well, thanks to quick thinking, he abused Kaizo into a helmet, let him work in real time, and has been sending everyone hints, like the number 40 Zuijo saw, and the 4 9s Yugioh saw. And it's shown that 4 9s together make a galaxy, which is also the Odo family crest. Okay, well the duel continues, and after one attack, Yugioh sees Kawaii is hurt more than he's letting on, because he's actually dying. Yeah, it seems like he's not long for this world. Then after a Konami code reference, I can't believe it took him this long to make one of those. It wasn't even one in the series based on a game. Suddenly, galaxies appear on Yugioh and Kawaii. As it turns out, every Valkyrian was made based on a galaxy, and Yugioh is special because he was based on the Milky Way galaxy. You know, Otis's Earth Dahmer's home, so he's a special. And Kawaii wants to use Yugioh's body for his own since he's the special. But luckily, thanks to friendship, Yugioh wins the duel, which is ruined by the theme song. You might be wondering what I'm talking about. The OP was good, I said. Well, you may be familiar with the concept of anime playing the OP at the end of a big arc or the actual ending of the show, you know, to add some extra hype. Well, Go Rush does it too. All the fucking time. Because remember, arcs are the length of a typical anime season these days. So, this is the 3rd time this season they've played the theme. You know, it doesn't hit nearly as hard when you do it all the fucking time. Anyway, Yugioh wins, and again, friendship speeches keep Kawaii from taking Yugioh's body at the end. But he leaves him with a message. Then everyone is finally brought back to reality. Hooray! They win, and Yugioh even still has his body. But he's brought back with bad news. Cause Kawaii told Yugioh it's not just him who's dying. The entire Velgear race is, and they're about to go extinct. Wow, concept that's actually so heavy, the next couple episodes aren't exclusive standalone ones that have little connection to it, as it actually continues from that. Because in the next episode, the characters remember they know a race that can predict the future, so Yuhi tries to find Rovian's hat parasite, Kamos, to ask it how to save the Velgirians. Also, girls show up. The episode is just a really long way to say, who knows what the future holds, don't give up. We do see that extinction is happening very fast, as half of the Dudu aliens have disappeared already. Then UTS gets another idea. There's a smartass they know who can help them. Yuga, of course, who again is missing, so they try to find him. But then the episode turns into Manya and Bochi doing a thing. Okay, cool, skip. You know, actually, have you noticed a lot of these characters don't fucking matter anymore? Like, we barely see Rovian, we barely see Kirishima, we barely see the Lug. Like, none of them have anything to do with anything going on anymore. It's all about either the main UTS crew, maybe Goha and Mutsuba, and maybe the MIK. And like I said, when it came to Kawaii making his deck, this is kind of the problem. There's just so many fucking characters now because they have to introduce new ones each arc, like new enemies, new allies, ones that become enemies, and then ones that become allies, you know what I mean? It's just all kind of fucked right now, which is why I think some of them got sidelined, like those 3 girls that hang around Tremello's dick. I swear, they were probably going to be more relevant at some point, but then got sidelined because they realized there's too many fucking characters going on right now. And yeah, not every character they've introduced is relevant. It's kind of like Sevens, where it's more of a character of the day thing. But again, the difference is because it's gone on for so long and we've had so many arcs that most of them were important at some point, but now just don't fucking matter. Because you realize at this point, we're on episode 90-something. We've pretty much passed Sevens. We are now on the home stretch, I guess. Because yeah, if you think we're done introducing new characters, psh, like I said, get ready for season 3. Now the crew do find out at the end of this Bochi Manya episode that Yuga loves udon and frequents a certain udon vending machine. The next episode is more about Zion and the Lug who duel, which ends with Zion swallowing another gear and turning all the friendship people back to normal. If only that made them relevant. Then in the Relic, all of a sudden, a small model of Yuga's Rush Duel robot appears. The next episode is about Rovian trying to find a way for her to help the Vulgarians by joining UTS. Then it becomes a rehash of Roman and Princess G shit from Sevens. Because one of the workers, Prasaki, is the version of Princess G in this time, who also inspired Rovian and even pulled a Shanks and Luffy because she gave Rovian Kamos, which was her hat. Yugioh Rush, I already get that they're the ancestors of the Sevens cast, okay? You've made that pretty obvious already. You don't have to make every single aspect of them match up to their descendants. That doesn't make them more connected or more interesting. It's just a waste of time. Vulgarians are disappearing. We should be focusing on that completely, you know? Also, they play the theme song again for Rovian's duel. Why? Like, Rovian's been less relevant than Roman herself. She hasn't done anything since the Great King of Terror arc 60 episodes ago. And yeah, this is my main problem with Season 2. A lot is going on, and a lot of things are happening, but it keeps sidetracking to all this bullshit that doesn't matter. I just have to reiterate, remember, Quaidol had 40 of these assholes in his deck, and they were all named characters. Unlike Sevens, where there were the mains and the rest, this show tries to keep everyone relevant, but when your character count is in the dozens, you're gonna get ones like Manya, Bochi, and Rovian who have not mattered for so long. Who cares that we're focusing on them now? Once the arc with their deal is over, then the show's over them. They just bring them back sometimes to fill time when they need it, cause they can't write an arc to be longer than 5 episodes. Speaking of all that, the Vulgarians in the Valvagear start disappearing now. And to make it so Udius doesn't find out and lose hope, Tazaki, do you remember him? I don't, goes to Osaka to get her to fill it with her employees to trick Udius. It ends up in a duel that he loses. This again is to sync up with Sevens, you know, this is how his family starts working under Osaka's. Who cares? Anyway, it's too late, as all the Dududians and the Valvagirians are now gone. There's not much time left. While luck may be on their side, as all the science nerds analyze that mini robot and find some interesting card data in it. What's more, the MIK successfully captured Yuga, but Yuna has picked, now of all times, to decide to confess her feelings to him and wants to speak to him now. Don't know why they can't just do that after he helps, or vice versa, but girls be cray and love, so she duels Manabu. She loses, and Yuga escapes during the duel. And when reviewing the camera footage, Yuna is choked up to see something to tell even we've never seen before. Yuga looking serious. Later, Tazaki traps Udius in a warehouse, but won't say why, while the others try to find out more from this robot. That's when suddenly Dinoa and Miyudo break in and steal it, saying they don't need the humans' help, this is a Vulgarian problem, and the UTS twins tag duel them to stop them. That's when we see them start to disappear, as dueling seems to accelerate the process, which is why Tazaki trapped Udius. And Miyudo fully disappears, and Dinoa, to honor him, continues the duel, and Dinoa also disappears. That's when the twins realize this was a distraction, because the yugioh wanted them out of the way, so he can get to Udius. Turns out he wants to go out like a warrior, so he wants his last duel to be against Udius, who is informed by the twins and Tazaki that all the others have disappeared. They're the only 2 Vulgarians left. And this is the most dramatic the show has gotten so far. There are still little jokes or goof here or there, but it's gotten pretty serious to this point, which, spoilers, is something you should get used to. Anyway, while disappearing, Zuijo is aided by his mini-harem of Mitsuko and Dinoa's spirit, I guess, who help him win the duel while they play the theme song again. Who keeps hitting the play button on that? It's not hype if I hear it every 5 minutes. But yeah, yugioh wins the duel and disappears. There are 50 episodes left, so I'm not holding my breath that this show had the balls to kill off the rival character this early. So with seemingly no options left, UTS and friends try to spend their final days with Udius at the village hidden in the insects, who of course are Nana's ancestors. And the village at this time is a theme park, one that's going out of business, and the crew have seemed to have given up about trying to revive it. And this triggers Udius, as obviously he's going through his own hopeless situation right now, but says you shouldn't give up and always find a way, which inspires them to not give up. And they explain it's actually Asaka's fault that there are no more visitors, cause this place is not in Mutsuba town, so when it became a ship and flew off, they had no more customers, and when they came back, Asaka just plopped it back on a tilt, forming a mountain, keeping the village from Mutsuba town. Whoops. So they help them make an entrance to the village, bringing back business. There might be hope for the protags too, as the nerds have successfully deciphered that card data they found in the robot, and Yuga is aware of that and decides it's time for him to make his move. The plan is nonsensical, of course, but basically, using this card, they will amplify its effects to revive all the Velgirians. Also, Rovian makes curry now, because Roman did it. But the plan gets sabotaged by Yuga, who says he can't let them use that card no matter what, and he's in space with Suijou's ship. So the others head up there, with Asaka giving Yuhi the card, and he goes out to duel Yuga, tired of his vague bullshit. But during the duel, Yuga realizes Asaka knew he'd try to stop them, so she made another machine on the moon, and stuff happens, blah blah blah. Basically, this is how the dueling servers Goha use end up on the moon. And Yuga's too late, because Yuhi uses that card, which you haven't figured out what it is at this point. It's Monster Reborn. And after he uses it through, I don't know, blood powers, I guess, the twins are able to see Yuga's memories. They basically get all the episodes of 7 streamed straight to their heads. Because remember, he and his great ancestors went back to his time and saw nothing changed. Everything was the same despite him coming back and inventing rush duels in this time. At some point they go away again, I guess, and master duels replace them, and somehow even diehard OCG players don't have an old format dedicated to keep playing rush duels. They just disappear from existence. Until Yuga reinvents them for the first time in the future. Have I mentioned how simple and not convoluted the story is now? It turns out Yuga's plan now is to become Otis. Yes, and he means that figuratively and literally. Basically, Monster Reborn in his time caused a lot of trouble, and clearly he does not care about the space-time continuum, so he's becoming Otis in the sense of him being the antagonist for the good of the world, like the other one did. And like the other one, it barely makes sense. Why does Yuga care so much about Monster Reborn? He always seemed like a go-with-the-flow kind of guy. Well, yeah, he didn't like it in 7s, but Monster Reborn didn't really do that much, and they reversed the effects of it easily. He knows how to fight it, and everyone is better for it, honestly, afterwards. They all bonded as friends or some shit, didn't they? Did Yuga using Monster Reborn make him forget that? Yeah, the card sucks, but again, it was an isolated arc. He acts like it's the big MacGuffin that's the cause of every problem in the future, when that was Goha. You should be really focusing on Yuna. It's stupid, man. This is what happens when a comedy series who didn't think these things through tries to make it be serious and meaningful. You think about it for 5 seconds and it makes no fucking sense. And worst of all, for them to try to make it make sense, they have to completely destroy characters, like Yuga and Yuamu. Because when Yuga gets injured from a different robot, Yuamu goes to him and decides to take over the duel in his place, and she will be Otis. Yeah, they use becoming Otis like it's a verb. Of course, this means she's killing Udius' race, so why would she do this when literally an episode ago, she wanted to save them? Well, having seen Yuga's memories and seeing how he's so convicted to be the villain, it's sad, I guess, in a way, and he's her ancestor, so why does she need a reason to help? Hey, yugioh Go Rush, I'm a viewer of this show. You need lots of reasons, because you're condemning an entire race of people to extinction? Hello? Like, even Yuga's reason isn't that good. And remember, in the first season, when I kept talking about how smart Yuamu was, yeah, at this point, that's all thrown out the window. The clever girl who thought logically and for her own gain doesn't exist anymore. She's just a woman. Not in the brainwashing sense, in the sense that now and into season 3, she's a plot device. Anyway, back to the duel. Finally, after fucking with the past for so long, a rip in space and time opens up. Guess they didn't notice until now. And to save Yuhi, I guess Udius takes over the duel, leading into episode 102, the season 2 finale of Go Rush. With Udius starting to disappear finally, and him telling everyone, Kawaido also told him something else that he didn't believe until now. beware the Odos, which considering they seem to flip sides more than a pancake and destroy the space-time continuum, I get what he means. And then as another slap in the face, Monster Reborn wasn't going to revive the Valgyrians. They're gone, because, it's not really a revival spell, it just fucks with memories for some reason. Wait, why does Monster Reborn do that? I never actually thought about that. Would it brain control or something make more sense? And Yugioh says that it's just something they have to live with, and he wins the duel, sending Yuamu back to Yugioh, where they both get sucked into the space-time hole. Yugioh and Yuhi arrive to save Yuamu, and with Yugioh, there's so many fucking U-names. They see that this wormhole conveniently leads to New Domino City. Oh no, actually it leads to a lesser show, because it's Goha City. They can send Yugioh back, who's still unconscious. And so they do that pretty easily. Yeah, it took like a second. Yugioh's gone now, and yeah, that's how he got back in the epilogue in Sevens. Done and dusted, let's go home. Well, Yugioh does that thing again where we got a few minutes left in the finale, so we gotta wrap it up while also introducing things to get set up for Season 3, because as UTS heads back, Yuamu suddenly vanishes. Then, smash cut to some time later, they don't really specify. We see the MIK is no longer about hunting aliens and is a delivery company. I'm sure it's a pun in Japanese. Rovian's bandits now make curry. I'm sure it's a pun in Japanese. Asaka, to help Yuga, starts making the spaceship the kids used in the 7th finale. Epoch is studying to be the proper heir to Kamijo Gears, and the Lube just hangs around there, I guess. UTS, however, has not been doing great since their president disappeared, and UTS plans to use the Valvagear to go into space alone to look for a way to revive the Valgyrians, and of course look for Yuamu. But he won't be alone, of course, as Yuhi is coming too, along with Damamu and Epoch. Hey, Epoch, did you not hear me 2 sentences ago? You're supposed to be studying to become the president of your company. Pick a lane. And so the season ends with the 4 of them going into space, the final frontier. And I mean final, duelists, because that's right. Next time is going to be the last time. Before that, though, I may not have made it clear, but I did not like this season. At first, it was fine, but again, the fast pace ruins it. Each arc sticks around for such a short amount of time, you can't process it all. And there's so much going on that I need time to do that. Just there's so many characters, the weird melodrama, all of the wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey nonsense, multiple dimensions. I don't think they had any idea where the fuck this show was going to go. Because of course, after UDS freed his star cluster, there's no reason to really continue this, Then again, they tie everything that happened back to one person with Kawaii Doll. I really don't get why they keep doing that. Because now we see that a series that started off fine is just getting caught in all the usual trappings of every other Yu-Gi-Oh series. Thank God it's the last one, because I don't think I could handle another show doing the same mistakes again. But yeah, duelists, next time will be the final time, as we will take a look at the final season of Go Rush that finished airing earlier in 2025, pretty recent. And again, as far as the West is concerned, started airing this year. Unfortunately, I think it's the worst season of Go Rush, for one reason. What happens when you take a series that was a stupid comedy and try to make it more serious? It becomes seriously stupid. Well, join me next time, duelists, for one final turn as we head into space, the final frontier of children's card games, as we see the voyages of the starship Valvagear and its 49-episode mission to ruin any chance this show had of redeeming itself with a good ending. To boldly go where no duelist has gone before. The Sengoku era. See you then. My head hurts.
死者蘇生は封印したのだな。コロッコ、仰せの通り厳重に。場所は乾いてるにも教えておりません。